When was the last time I actually released music? It's been a long time. The last music I did was with Wolf, actually. That's the last releases I did.
Yeah.
But I was going through some serious depression, and
All right. Sorry, not to interrupt them, but let's backtrack because it sounds like you just about to jump into it now. I want you to kind of start from like. Do you want to start from there? Because I know you got backstory, man. You've been doing this thing for a long time.
Yeah, don't mind.
From TYG to before, you get me? The TYG, there's a Drinky Thing, Start of a Bad Joke.
Oh, there's a
projects
lot,
that I feel like you haven't pushed.
True.
And Lucy's Mango Cream. like there's tunes out there, and I just feel like, yo, why is this guy not... Man, like every time I see it, everyone that speaks about it, it's like, yo, musical genius, legend, rare, but not enough people know it.
Well, when you name all of those songs, to me it was a form of experimenting with music, but I didn't put any meaning behind any of it. And
The early stuff.
yeah, it was literally me fucking about. I was taking the piss out of anything possible, and so that's what brought forth the stop of music for a while.
When did you stop?
Because I'd say I stopped before Wolf, because that wasn't even me really doing music yet. I stopped maybe 4 years ago. And it was after the Drinky Thing, because times got hard for one, but during those times it gave me an opportunity to think about what I am really about and to find myself and to communicate that better. And until I was able to do that, I wasn't making any music. Like, in the depths of the depression, I was trying to write bars and I was looking at what I was writing, and okay, I have to explain a little bit of insight. I thought I had a mental condition. I tried to put myself into a mental hospital and all sorts.
Yeah.
Turns out I'm all right. I was always crazy anyway. But I thought that the writing I was doing had the devil in it. Like, seriously, I thought, nah, this isn't right. Something's wrong with me. Like, what is happening to me? Why am I writing these things? And it felt like the darkest thing I could ever go for. And I was hesitating to do any of it. And I had to leave it for a while and just, anyway, but I was just scared about what I was writing. That's the best way to put it. I was scared of myself. And now that I've gotten to where I am, I realised the fear was a necessary thing to find myself once again. I asked for that fear. Like, life was too good.
Yeah.
But it was too good to be true type of too good. So I wanted to experience fear, and I experienced it all. Yeah, I experienced it all down to having trying to gain schizophrenia. I wanted to experience it because I wanted to help people. I came across a guy that was homeless, and he said he had paranoid schizophrenia. And the only way for me to understand that is to experience it.
Yeah.
So I gave myself 5 minutes of having schizophrenia, and that voice in your head can be very overpowering. And all of these things, while experiencing them, all I wanted to do was be able to reason with them, so that when I write a song now, anyone experiencing that will be able to hear that point of reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, many years later, I've come and... Sorry, I'm distracted. Many years later, I've learned from all these things, everything that I've experienced. I've learned about depression. I've learned bits of mental health. I've learned about love and heartbreak. I've learned about fear. I've learned about family. I've learned about identity. And of course, I'm still learning those things, but it's what I put into music now. So I don't know what the new music's going to be like. Like, it's going to be, that's another fear that I have that I'm taking on at the moment. To share what I'm doing now is going to be scary, because it's similar to this conversation. It's doom and gloom in it. We're in a stage now where depression's a big thing, but talking about it is a difficult one. Like, everyone wants to hear positivity and happiness. But nah, I like to say that I've been through the darkest of dark and learned from it. And that's what allows us to connect as humans still, to be able to share. Like, Instagram and all these cultures, it's showing us that you've got to have all these great things. Nobody shares on Instagram that they're having a shit day. No one shares on Instagram that they lost something or anything like that. Everyone shares, I got this new thing, check out this watch. Blinging watch.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a way that we can share these emotions and these things in life that we all need to experience. And so through music, it's a platform to share the worst of me, but to put the lesson in with it.
Yeah.
And so I've tied it in what I think is a nice way to tie it in. Like, I'm not trying to go over people's heads with lyrics or anything like that. I'm not trying to show off any skills or nothing like that. I'm trying to give people a story. And so when I'm asking you guys questions about the music you're listening to at the moment, the reason I say what are they talking about is because no matter what song format you have, like, it can be trap, it can be R&B, it can be grime, it can be drill. What you're talking about in that song is what people are receiving and what influence they're getting.
Yeah.
So I'm taking these songs and I will touch the subjects that people like to hear in it, but I will touch the reality that I've learned from it. Like drill, that's about what? Drug selling, violence and sex. So I will talk about those things, but what is not making me feel human about it, or what is good about it? Because as bad as it is, like, a drug dealer is still a business, man.
Yeah.
It just depends on how they execute business. Like, these higher ups are selling drugs. Weed has become legal in some states as well. Pharmacist, that is a legal drug dealer. And I touch subjects like that in the music as well. I've done a song about psychedelics. I believe in psychedelics. I don't believe in hard drugs like cocaine and all that sort of stuff, but I believe in psychedelics because I've had experiences from those and they've taught me more about myself and the world and how to connect to people. I talk about love a lot in these songs, from the perspective of being a player, from the perspective of being played, from the perspective of hating the person that you're with, but still loving them and trying to, like, work out what it is, like, to put your ego aside and to look to them, for them to put their ego aside to look to you. For them women that are like, you know, them hurt women that are doing the most destructive things with their lives. Like what we call a slag or something like that. All of those type of elements, it's a woman that has hardened off from trying to be loved because of a bad experience. And so I link these stories, these experiences, these songs to mythology and to dreams. So let's take this woman, for example, Medusa. She's a gorgon that turns men into stone. But that's what women are doing today. A hurt woman turns a man into stone. The man turns cold. He becomes heartless too. And so it's all of these type of things that I've looked at. I've experienced this. I link it to another story. I turn it into a dream, a story, and a song. And I want to share that with people. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm going to see how it goes anyway.
See, that's deep.
Yeah, I just went deep. There's a lot that I can say on this, and you know, I get really passionate about it. This is...
See, I was going to ask if you make music for fun.
The truth is, yes, I used to.
Yeah.
The Drinky Thing was both experimental and fun. It was a social experiment to see the effects of alcohol.
Yeah.
And the fun side of it was every song I did, I was drunk
Yeah,
of
yeah.
different types of alcohol. So one, I was drinking absinthe that was like maybe 60 or 80%. Another one, I was drinking vodka. Another, I was drinking rum. And I just choose a different scenario for each song. And the point of it was, again, a lesson. I wanted people to have fun listening to it, but realize getting too drunk can be fucked up. And you make all these mistakes and all that stuff. And that's why it ends with Charlie's Angel. It's like the last story of that episode. It's, as much as it introduces weed, it's the end of alcohol. And it's... drugs in my stories is a woman.
Wait,
all the time.
sorry, Charlie's Angels on Drinky Thing?
Yeah, it's the last song of Drinky Thing.
Not on this.
It's probably not got
Oh,
a picture for
okay,
it.
yeah, so I ain't got a picture.
But yeah, it's the last episode of... because the Drinky Thing was a story as well. I was going to make a like mini movie to it.
Yeah.
And it was going to be about someone, well, me really, going to uni, realising that gyal are different to what they were like in school. And misbehaving to the point where I became addicted to alcohol. Like, eventually sad things happened to me. Like, I ended up with a child with the wrong circumstances, but bless that child because she brought us back together. And I remember drinking alcohol for breakfast, like in a breakfast mug. Everyone's gone home from uni. I'm still in my room drinking alcohol. And I thought the best way to reflect that is alcohol's fun. So everyone listens, it starts off fun and it gets a bit more serious. Like you hear some questionable situations in there thinking, hold on, why is somebody behaving this way? But we do lose our inhibitions on alcohol. And when we become sad on any stimulant, be it alcohol, weed, magic mushrooms, all of that sort of stuff, we then behave destructively. Our frequency changes to a destructive one. We experience all those things that are called a bad trip or being rough on alcohol. So the stimulants themselves aren't bad. It's ourselves, when we're in a bad place on those things, bad things happen. I like to present what's it called? What's that symbol now? Yin yang.
Yeah, the yin yang.
The yin yang of everything, and that's a big thing in my music. It's like duality. Whether it exists or not, I try and present that. So yeah, there's fun, and then there's a bit of seriousness as well.
I love Phone Me Drunk. I want to play it, but you have to listen to that as a whole.
Oh yeah,
like,
that's
the way it kind of.
Yeah, it's not even a song.
9 minutes. Yeah, it's 9 minutes. Like 9 minutes. Yeah, it's phoning different people. You know, let me find the clip. It's phoning different people. Yeah, just drunk.
Those two, yeah. Add some of this one in there. Mix
Maximum 2 sauce.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Which sauce you want, hurry up.
Oh, just give me whatever this is, man.
Just barbecue, yeah?
You rang me a couple times, innit, yeah?
Oh, my bad. I was trying to find my man and must have typed the wrong name. But yo, what you doing tonight, fam?
Nothing, man. Just chilling, innit?
Oh, I didn't realise it was cold. Chilling on your own. Put on some clothes. Meet me on this road for some honest hoes. No novice knows or excuses. This alcohol is lonely. Oh, yo, police. Are you talking in this direction?
Yeah.
Chat with you.
Is it going to be long?
Just listen, I can explain to you.
So what's with the attention?
We'd just like to have a little chat with you. You're wandering on the streets on your own, you know.
Yeah, have I done anything wrong?
No, but you know,
No,
we like to play crumbs and we just like to chat to the general public.
Yo, look, what's going on?
So, if you'd let me speak, please.
Let me speak when I'm an MC spouting these bars on the heat streets. When you come round with the police be, I don't really care. Cause you see me and CDs running through the sea. You ain't got flows like that. You stop me, so that's irrelevant.
1-to-1, look, I just want to sort you out to make sure you're okay. If you'd like to come with me, sit in the back of the car, we'll have a quick chat with you, get you on with the rest of the night, you know. There's no problem.
Yeah, but kidnap me and everything.
So if you're going to cause a scene, I'm going to have to arrest you.
No, you don't have to do anything.
I don't want that, you don't want that. Nobody else wants that. Just come with me.
Are you asking or telling me?
Look, you have to do this. Come with me to the back of the car. Otherwise, I'm going to have to arrest you. Come in.
Yo, hello.
Yo, brother, walk on.
Mad. 9 minutes, man. Different mad. Yo, it's mad.
Yeah.
Absolutely mad.
Even the ideas behind that was made when I was drunk. I did everything to do with being drunk. So I was like, I got this idea. I'm going to do it. I'm drunk. I remember like even editing while I was drinking alcohol. So the things, there was videos for it. I didn't end up releasing any of them, but it was a big project. And I lost belief in it, sadly, but it was good. Like making that track in particular, there's a lot of attention to detail while losing attention to detail. Like a lot of that was freestyle as well. So I'm talking shit, but that's what happens when drunk. And so the attention to detail was like, just talk shit, because that's what a drunk person does. But the changes in music is like depending on what perspective you're from. So if it's the perspective of the person, like I call my friend and he's in his yard, so the music is what's an advert on his laptop.
Okay.
And I was taking a piss out of like One Direction and all that sort of shit in that piece of music there. But then as it swaps perspective, it turns to the original beat, because it's then me in front of the police officer and he's on the other side. And so there was a lot of...
I just realised that he's still on the phone and don't get in the car.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that before.
There's a lot of swapping perspective in that song. And so as much as it's like, it sounds like I'm literally just messing about, there was still thought behind it and ideas and experimenting with different ways to do it. Yeah. The situations, a lot of them are based on true stories.
I know, but you can tell though. You can tell. Like, I'm pretty sure most of us. Maybe not Adrian. You never drink. You never got that drunk, have you? Been abandoned after a night out, just walking around town on your own, trying to get home, trying to get a taxi, getting stopped by the police. You right, mate? Yeah, like trying to order a kebab.
Yo.
Like, Many a time.
I'm sure in that song I get boxed in the face, and that happened. I'm running down the street and someone's tripped me up, and I'm still in the middle of tripping, and everything went into slow motion. It was like at that moment he realized. And so I made it, I thought about it, like, did this guy just trip me up? Yes, he did. Okay, do I do anything or do I carry on running? Nah, I need to say something. Nah, but I want to run. And it was like two voices. The drunk voice was like, nah, turn the fuck around. So I was like, yo, what the fuck you think you're doing? It's like, what are you doing? I was like, huh? And then two other guys have come and goes, yo, mate, calm down. I was like, what do you mean calm down? He's just, and a bang. And then it paused again, and the voice was like, nah, fuck him up, you got to. And then the other voice was like, wait, there's three of them, what are you going to do then? I'm like, okay, think of something smart to say. I was like, yeah, okay, watch when I call people, and walked off. I was like, yeah, handled that. Did not handle it. And I called the same person who's doing the audio there. I was like, yo, where are you? Come back. I've just been boxed. It's like, yo, hold on, and put the phone down. I was like, huh? He didn't ask where I am. And I didn't hear from him after that. Oh, gosh. So there are real situations. There's another situation in there with Natty C where I've called up a girl and she's got him in the yard. And the reality of what happened was there was a French girl that I was seeing in uni. French is good. But she gave me a hint that she's still interested. So one day I'm drunk and I've called her thinking, yeah, I might go there tonight. Called her, she was asleep, and she's talking, and I'm obviously trying to wake her up, putting in the work. But I've heard a guy take the phone and go, hey, mate, we're trying to sleep. And I burst out laughing on the phone.
You're not giving that a go.
And I was just taking the piss from there. So there's a lot of real life situations that I thought, let's turn it into the music, but show that this stuff really happens, man.
So you do make music for fun, then, innit? Technically,
I did. I still do. Yeah. But there's a lot of seriousness to it where I have to make sure there is something portrayed as a lesson.
Is it more like now? It's more, as I was gonna say, more lessons more than just expression.
Definitely still expression. Like anything that I have learned in music, I just incorporate it to what I already have. I'm not gonna lose too much of what there is. It's just. There was an element of silliness that I had that isn't as silly because I've matured as a person now. I'm a man, I got children and all that sort of stuff. And the silly music, it's just like, it's not quite music to me.
It had its time.
Yeah. It's real music has a lot of elements to it that I've learned since I've been reading about music and all that stuff. Like I'm studying it more. And the silly comedic stuff, that's not music, that's a skit, that's a comedy. So I was literally just being a comedian. And that's good too. People like to be able to laugh, and that's a good thing to share because laughter is a cure for pain. But also, pain itself has to be experienced. I'm saying the focus is pain, definitely. It just hopefully won't feel so painful, if that makes sense.
So how do you feel then, like, making music in this generation then?
Amongst what's happening out there?
Basically, in this climate. Like,
Occasionally, I won't lie, I get insecure and I'm thinking, why? This is what people like. Like, the lyrics don't even have to be good, and I'm spending years focusing on what I need to put into this song, what message I need to portray before I even write down the words. And someone's just talking about drugs, shoes and holes on a sick beat. And I'm trying to make beats myself. And a lot of the times I listen to what people like and I'm thinking I should just go onto YouTube, download something and just vocal that because that's going to be easier received. But I'm taking that fearful challenge of, I've made this, I'm going to share this. So it's a difficult one. It's risky. It's very risky. Like, I could make something and it will just never be acknowledged. And that used to scare me until I realised that's not what I want to do music for anymore. Yeah. I think that's what I mean by I'm taking away the whole way I used to do music. I was doing it for people to like it. Now, you ain't got to fucking like it. You've got to learn from it. You can listen to that song once and it will change your life. It will change your way of seeing things. It will relate to some experience you've had and make you think, you know what, I can do better or something like that. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, the more I learn, the more I've got to put it back in there. I can't just learn it for myself and then hold on to that. I've got to share what I've learned. I'm making this too serious, you know.
Thing is though, you know what? The one thing I think, yeah, because I've known you from young. You get me? It's like, for me as a person that's older and seen you grow up, you think, how much do you give of yourself to experience and learn those things to help others, but you got to be careful it doesn't damage you.
Oh yeah, I've been warned about that loads of times. I made a choice, and to receive the damage was a choice. Like, that's another thing that we experience. Like, we want to be able to trust people, but when your trust is betrayed, we harden off to people again. We lock people out of our lives, and that becomes another lonely experience. And so I had to work out what it is about people that makes them betray trust, and that involved me betraying people's trust. I felt fucking horrible and guilty and all that sort of stuff, and I wanted to hide away when I did that. I felt like a lesser human being because I couldn't be there for my friends or my family or something, and I've had it done to me. So when it's done to me now, instantly I've got the understanding of, well, they're going through something. They feel a certain way. And anyone who does something bad, I always try and work out what has led them to that. It's like cognitive behavioral therapy. What are they suffering from that's making them have to use survival instincts in such a way? Like Wolverhampton, we talk about it being like this bucket of crabs that are all dragging each other down to get to the top. We're all trying to survive because survival here is difficult. Look how many fucking homeless people we've got in this city at the moment. And these are the people that obviously need it the most, but we need the money. So fuck them. I'm out here trying to survive. I always stop near a homeless person and talk to them long enough to know if they're trying to help themselves. Yeah. Because the danger, again, hurting myself, I put in all my energy to these people, and they found out how to spin it to just get things from me. That was hurting me in the process and draining me. But then from learning from that, I think, okay, so the next approach, I have to adjust it because I don't want to give up on nobody. I don't want to give up on this world at all. And so then, it was just yesterday, I'm talking to this homeless guy, gave him £2 first, and then I asked him why he's homeless. It's like, wife, she's cheating on me, blah, blah, blah. He's drawn the speech that all of them know how to do. I feel like they teach each other a sales pitch. I've done door-to-door sales. You do the pitch. You work out the response. Yeah, and I just need some... I was like, okay, what do you need the money for? Oh, I just need something to eat. I need some food. Of course, you stood outside Asda, but you haven't gone in Asda. When I've given them... So I do understand and work out these things. And he was like... oh yeah, so the one word that he said, the trigger word that made me have a good question was, he said he wanted to start again. I was like, what do you mean by start again? Like, I need to get my life on track. He's gone back into his speech. Every time they make these speeches, they can't even remain like eye contact. So he's looking away, I've got to do this. And he's just reciting this speech. And I asked him again, so what do you mean by change? We recited the speech again. I was like, what are you going to do for that change? And he looked at me confused. And then he started describing he'd get a job, he'd look after himself and all this stuff. I was like, that's good. So when are you going to do it? And he went back to the speech again, just need to sort out my life and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. And I repeated it 3 times to the point where he's asked another question. He goes, you mean I need to do it if I want this thing to happen? I was like, yeah. It was like, okay. And then I gave him some more money. I goes, okay, now you've got £5. You can do what you want with that. You can do this, or you can do this. And I don't know what he's doing, but I'm suggesting there's one thing that you might be doing and there's something that you could be doing. And I just kept on doing that. Then I was like, passing on, like I said, if you get better and you do all this, you'll be the next person to help another person because you've been through it, so you know exactly what things are going to hold you back and all that sort of stuff. And I walked away from that moment and I thought maybe that lesson wasn't for him and it was for me. What is there in my life that I'm saying I need to get on track with? I just need to do this and that. And so then my voice of reason for someone else becomes my voice of reason for myself. And that's the most enriching thing that can happen in life because it's just like you're constantly leveling up by leveling up everyone else. The survival shit, that's learning how to... You're capping yourself because you've got what you think you need, but you're missing out on everything else, which is the connection that gives you more in an abundance.
It requires a lot of patience and faith, though.
Yeah, of course.
Not everyone's got faith.
I debate with Olivia every day about faith in humanity. We fall out over these arguments all the time. Like, part of my faith in humanity is destructive. And she always points out that, you just believe in, what's it called? It's not chaos, but the theory around it. Anarchy.
Yeah.
I believe in anarchy and yes, a dystopia and all that stuff. But I think that's because then we lose the things that we think we need. And I think that's a good idea because then we have to think differently.
Isn't that why we got EastEnders?
I love EastEnders, mate.
Nah.
You been keeping up? No. You ain't been keeping up. Hey, you heard what's happened to Trevor recently? I heard he died. Mo hit him with a an iron.
That was you. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's the last time I watched EastEnders still.